4. Morphy answers E5. The knight attacking E5. Morphy plays the Philidor's defense. We haven't seen him do this one yet. How about this? The Philidor's defense. You protect E5 with your D-pawn. It says here in the notes, a frequent defense with Morphy during his visit to Europe. It was popular in London and Paris at the time. All right, Lowenthal throws the D-pawn up, and Morphy takes it, okay? But here we go. We got another note. Knight to F6 is now recognized as Black's soundest move, but it was not thought so in 1858. Now, just looking at this, too, folks, let me throw the engine up, right? Here we go. I sometimes call upon the genius, the chess engine, the genius to come in, just so I don't mislead anybody. But I'm saying, what if you pressure the knight like this? All right, the best move is knight takes right here, okay? And now, you know, when I was playing Shredder, testing this out, you had this move. Okay, now if you do something stupid like this, you get struck with a winning a pawn here. Look at this. You see that? You got the bishop takes F7, check, king takes, and then you get your piece back after whatever, however you want to do it. Look, the engine here is saying to go back. Right? Why not develop the... What if you develop the piece like this, huh? All right, you get your piece back. You just want a pawn. See that? So there you go. All right. Anyway, you don't want to play like that, okay? You got to always watch those traps. You see this move? That's a natural move, right? But you can't play on autopilot. You got to always be watching those tactics. Okay. Here we go. Here's the move, folks. Here's the move. There you go. Now you're gonna push D5 next, and you got an easy game. I mean, you know, you're even. Easy game, maybe not easy game. You know, I think the Philidor's defense, I don't like it, folks. I'm gonna point out why. The D pawn is in the way, right here. Just to point this out. This move right here blocks in your king bishop. See this? And he's gonna end up being cramped. You know how in all these other games, look, the knight comes here, right? And you had this move by white, you had this move, you know, you had this move. I mean, all these moves, you know, usually you get the, let's say, right? You do the Morphy, love to play the bishop there, right? You play the bishop to C4, right? You get that king bishop out again. This is Morphy's bread and butter right here. King bishop on C5, aiming at the enemy king, right? Well, now with the Philidor's defense, your bishop's locked in there. You get cramped. You know, I don't like it, folks. And then you got to play D5 to equalize. Remember what we said in king pawn games? If Black could get in D5, he equalizes. Well, look at the tempos, folks. He takes one step, and then eventually he's going to go to D5. He takes two tempos to get to D5 instead of hitting with D5 straight away at some point. So you're taking two moves to do it. So these are the reasons why I don't like the Philidor's defense. All right, but anyway, this is what you got to go with what the man of the hour did, right? This is historical. This is Morphy. This is what he played, all right? All right, so anyway, there you go. You get this one. You get something like this. If he takes, you don't want to take here, folks, because then you just trade the queens, right? And this guy's hanging. I mean, forget about it. Gets real ugly, you know? So this, there you go. So now you got to take like this. If the bishop comes out, you play this, right? And then, you know, you're going to play D5 next. I think in my game with Shredder, he goes like this. I just passed on like that. He pulled the bishop back. You know, there you go. And it's a game, folks. Look at the engine. Look at the engine over here, right? Look at this engine. You know, look, it says 0.00. It's an equal game, you know, equal. So now the line, I just saw this engine, Chess Genius was saying not to castle. Book move is this, huh? You take there now. All right, book move is this, coming back, right? Book move is coming back, hitting that bishop. I guess you gain a tempo on him. He's good. We're going to pull back probably, yeah. Keep aim at F7. But, all right, look at this. You check. King over. How about that? Leave those castling privileges to Black only, huh? Look at this. All right. Anyway, folks, we're getting into it, right? Look at the engine right here. What is it? It's black's turn. All right. Okay. They say this. Look at the engine, folks. 0. All right. It's changing. 0.04. Huh? I mean, come on. There's no problemo for black. No problemo. All right. So the old masters. Yeah. It's a crime. If you can hear the sirens, folks, on white's part, it's a crime to let black equalize like this. All right, so there you go. There you go. This is good for black, no problem. So that's where the old masters. What I was going to say, the old masters are right. Knight to f6 is now recognized as black's soundest move, but it was not thought so in 1858. Okay, so on this move. Morphy doesn't play the knight. He does what they were doing. This move was in vogue. Pawn takes pawn. That's what on Morphy's day. That's what was in vogue. Okay. So here you go. You got Lowenthal now capturing with the knight, and it says here in the notes, Morphy himself favored queen takes. Folks, you're going to see plenty of this move. Plenty of Philidor's defense with white. With Morphy handling the white pieces. Yeah, he would take with the queen on d4, okay? And even if you hit like this, you try to gain a tempo, you just pin that guy. All right? So, go from there. He unpins, all right, you destroy that guy so you don't have to move the queen. You don't want to lose the tempo moving the queen, you know? So you trade the pieces, all right, you give black the bishop pair, but again, the bishop, this guy, he's locked in, folks. He's locked in, look. And you're going to have to, if you want to play d5, you're going to have to use another tempo. White's got the space advantage, you see? Not bad for white here. He's got a space advantage. All right, so anyway, Lowenthal takes with the knight. He takes with the knight instead. All right, here we go. Morphy himself favored queen takes pawn, agreeing with the majority of his predecessors and contemporaries. Lowenthal, on the other hand, was a strenuous advocate of knight takes pawn, and he has been followed by the experts since his day. All right, so anyway, they're both playable. All right, so now you got Morphy playing the king knight out to f6 on this move. All right, Lowenthal thought that d5 was the move, right? King pawn games, folks, but remember, he took 2 moves to do that. He played d6 and then d5. It's like you're losing a tempo in there. That's why I don't like this Philidor's defense. All right, here we go. But anyway, Morphy playing it this way with the knight coming out. It says, okay, Lowenthal thought that d5 better, but on this point, modern opinion follows Morphy. The knight f6 move was the move. Okay, here comes knight c3. Morphy developing the king bishop to the only available square. Getting ready to castle. Look at this. Look at Lowenthal. Morphy castles. Lowenthal follows. And look at this move now. Oh, boy. Question mark on our hero here. Look at this. c5, booting the knight, right? All right. Why is that bad? All right. Here we go. Look. Leonhardt Nimzovich, San Sebastian, 1912, continued with the queen knight coming out. And then you had the knight takes knight, pawn takes, no big deal, take towards the center. All right, we got more influence with these pawns, okay. And now we got white developing, gonna, I guess, throw the bishop on b2. Okay, and here you go. You hit with d5 now, okay. Hit with d5. And my first question, just like I'm sure you're looking at the engine. What do you do with this one, right? All right, you got to pull them back. White's got control of g4, if you haven't noticed. See the bishop and queen, right? Can't go there. If you go up, I think you'll just take and then trade queens maybe. Look, let's just see. Knight takes. Bust those pawns a little. Look at the queen side now. The queen side of black. The isolated C pawn, see, that's a disadvantage. But hey, you know, white's got to prove it. But okay, you come back. Here's the move. You come back, and now you protect your e5 pawn. And they say that there's a check. If you let the engine go a little bit, I think this was the move. This looks like the best move. And now you could get your queen bishop out, or you could push f6. You could push c5 and then d4. You know, there's a lot of play. Look, if bishop, even just bishop, okay, bishop b2, you could come in here maybe. I don't know. But there's a lot, you know, folks, this is some game. There's a lot to it. A lot of play here. It could go a million ways. All right? Black's doing fine. That's the point. All right? So the old masters, this was the game Leonhard Nimzovich, San Sebastian, 1912. I just think it bears repeating, okay? So there you go. This is up until this move, okay, when he gets ready to place b3 for maybe the queen bishop, and then you just hit with d5 now. You equalize. Basically, it's going to be equal. All right? So there you go. And they even said, look at this. Look at this one now. They even said here, instead of all right, after castles, instead of the knight coming out, you got this idea. d5 right straight away. At once, d5 at once is also playable. Okay, there you go. There's another idea, right? You got options for black. So, you know, Morphy's looking pretty good, but what he does here, this is bad. He plays c5. And this hits the knight. Okay, the knight goes back. But now you got to understand, folks, we didn't really, I don't think Morphy in the American Chess Congress, I had a blank there. I couldn't remember. The American Chess Congress, Morphy he played well. He didn't play any kind of bloopers like this, because what's happening here structurally, you're giving yourself a backward pawn, a backward D pawn. It's on an open file. You see this? White's got control of the D5 square, so it's hard to push. Once this guy goes up like that, once this pawn goes up, there's no other pawn support that could help push that D5, pawn push to equalize. Like for instance, you could go here and then push D5. But by going past, now you got white total control here. It's a hole. It's an outpost. It's an outpost. And on the open file, this open file here, they're going to aim at D6, the D6 pawn, which can't advance. Okay, now watch this, though. Watch this. Lowenthal doesn't play it well, so he gives Morphy a chance. But let's look at this. All right, the knight goes back. Okay, where are we? Move 8, right? Okay, so now Morphy develops his queen knight, gets it out. And look at this, bishop to f4. But that's a question mark, because just what we were talking about. Look at this. The move was bishop to g5. Why? Because the knight helps black, influence d5. White's got the let's check it out. Look, he's got the knight on d5. 1. He's got the queen on d5. 2, and he's got this pawn on d5. That's 3 on it. All that black has right now is this knight, right? Not that guy. I'm sorry, I went backwards with the moves. All right. He's got this knight here, the king knight, controlling d5, and he's got the queen backing up d5. They want to push this guy up, right? But he can't do it now. We only got 2 defending d5, supporting d5, and then you got the 3 white pieces controlling it, right? So you can't push d5. With white playing G, look at the arms are going off too now. It's just a warning, folks. Black made a mistake. Look at this. With the bishop coming to g5, okay, he's going to take out this knight. For instance, they give the line now, right? With Morphy, look, it says bishop to g5 was correct. And if pawn up, right, hitting this bishop, big deal. You trade it off. You swipe the bishop, trade it off for the knight, which influences d5. Now when black takes back, right, now you got only one piece supporting the d5 pawn push, which is the queen that's left. White still controls it with 1, 2, 3, right? We'll get a load of this. Now he can play queen up, and this pawn is going to be pressured. It's going to be pressured. He's going to bring another rook to back it up. Look, we don't have time to try to push. So again, the alarms are going off. Black's in trouble, folks. He's in trouble. That's why the alarms are going off. You can't play chess like this. You get it? This D pawn is a goner. I mean, it'll soon be gone. I mean, if all right, you go like this, you know, you try to protect it with the bishop. I guess that's the best chance, right? I mean, you still got the outpost. You see, you could plant a piece in there. If you can't win it yet, maybe near the end game you could win it, you know? And usually if you trade, when you got pawn weaknesses, if you could trade the minor pieces, that's when they really show. If you just got queens and rooks, that's when you can go after something like this D6 backward pawn weakness. Backward pawn. It's on an open file, and it can't advance. You can't advance. So this, if anything, if Black's just, if you look at the actual evaluation over here, it's really equal, right? 0.09. So maybe he can hang on, but look, folks, Black's going to be uncomfortable. He's the one with the weakness. You understand? Now, if you trade this guy off, now you just let him. You got rid of the weakness. Black's looking good now. And I mean, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. You're just trading on D8. There's nothing going to happen over there. But you would not want to take. So look at the engine. It's saying knight to D5. You're controlling that square. And you just play with that. You trade with that strategy. Look, here comes the knight. And when you take here, they say to take like this. Hit this guy back. Let's see. Oh, look at this. He takes a second to... All right, this is very good. Look, he takes the knight. All right, now he takes this way. The engine's saying to take this way. Now he moves back. Now, folks, now very instructional. I'm glad I kept going. Now, I'm just doing this off the cuff. You see what just happened? This is actually good for Black because now, yes, this pawn's back, right? But it's not considered a weakness because this pawn is now in the way for White. It's not on an open file. If the white pawn, once it comes to this hole, this D5 square, that's it. There's really the weakness. It's still a target, but it's nowhere as bad as before on an open file. You know, it's just these are the things you pick up. Strategy with pawn structures. Very interesting. All right. So anyway, you'll get it. You'll get it as you go. As the more experience you gain, the pawn structures are very important. All right, so anyway, right now, the game could go a million ways. You understand? Let's just leave it at that. Black's, you know, not losing, but White's got an easier game than Black. Okay, so anyway, here we go. So we go back. What does Lowenthal do? He plays this one though. See this? He's aiming at the pawn now already, and it's really too late. Why? Because look at this. Now Morphy, of course, he plays the bishop to E6. Why, folks? Why did he do that? Do you follow what I'm saying? I mean, it's making sense, right? Because now he added another guy to support the D5 pawn push. You got the knight, you got the bishop, you got the queen. 3, right? You got 3 on it. All right, look at Lowenthal now trying to bring the queen, brings the queen up to D2. He wants to bring a rook to back up the queen. Add another one. Another more pressure on D5, but it's too late, folks. Too late. I mean, heck, he can't take. He brought the bishop over here. He can't take this, right? We got the bishop and our queen on it. Forget about it. He loses a piece, right? So this was too slow. This plan was too slow. He let Morphy unwind. Get right out of it. See this? D5, of course. Pawn takes pawn. All right, we got the knight taken. See? Now Morphy traded off his weakness. So now he's looking good. Look at this. Now he tries to do something fancy. Now he tries pinning the knight. There's no pin, folks. The knight can move, right? There's no pin here. What are they going to trade down here? Big deal. This does nothing, right? It's just a trade, if anything. Look at Morphy. He just takes the bishop. Now he's got the bishop pair. All right, so now here comes Lowenthal recapturing. All right? And you got to get that queen out of there. Now the rook's hitting it. All right, so Morphy swings it up to a5. Okay? Lowenthal aims the king bishop, puts it on d3, aiming at h7. All right, here comes Morphy. Putting the rook on the open file, that's where it wants to be. All right, here we go. Now look at this guy, the knight jumping up. Knight jumping up to g5. Now they're both on this one, huh? I don't think so. Morphy chops him right off. Queen takes back, right? Now Morphy hits that queen, because look, I guess he wants this guy over here, the king bishop, is hitting. The king bishop's aiming down there. I guess he figures, oh, I'll get the tempo on the queen, and, you know, there's no threat. Bishop takes in the future. Anyway, so here we go. Queen to h4. And now Morphy with the knight coming to d4. Centralized knight for Morphy. Good post for the knight. All right, so what do we got? We got a threat. We got a threat. Let's just play something stupid like this, right? Something meaningless. We got a threat. Queen to b4. Now, it's obvious you're attacking this guy, right? All right, let's say you saved that pawn. Well, did you see this one, folks? Look at this. Knight forking the king and the queen. Well, all right, big deal. You take them out, right? Did you see it, folks? Queen takes queen. You win the queen anyway. You see that? And you bust up the king side. The game's going to be over. It's going to be over soon. Look at this. Instant replay, folks, right? While your eye is over here watching your B pawn, right? It's like a fork. The queen's attacking B2, and he's setting this one up. Look at that. Now, if you move the king, forget it. You lost him anyway, right? Like we said, it's a fork. So you got to take, and then did you see the rank is clear for the queen takes queen. All right? Pretty dangerous stuff, right? Okay, here we go. So what does Lowenthal do? He doesn't play h3, I could tell you that much. All right, so what does he do here? What does he do? All right, he plays this one. He plays this pawn over here on this wing. He plays a3. Just to stop the control b4 so the queen can't go there. All right, fine. All right, so now Morphy brings his other king, his king rook, the other rook, I should say, into, you know, to e8 to influence the center. All right, and Lowenthal does the same. All right, here we go. Queen to b6, attacking that b2 pawn again. And look at this. Now Lowenthal comes up with the knight, attacking the queen, protecting b2. All right, Morphy goes back, attacking the undefended knight. The undefended knight goes back. Right? Instead of coming over here and doing this type of dance, getting a draw, Morphy ends up pushing this. Can you get a load of this one? Look at this. Move 21, right? Look at this now. He launches the F pawn up. And you got to note, obviously not playing to draw and taking great risks in view of the position of White's forces. I mean, this is true, folks. If you look at White, I mean, he doesn't have any weaknesses. His pieces are on good squares. I mean, it's a la Morphy, you know, rooks in the center, the king bishop posted on d3, aiming at the enemy king. You got the knight developed on c3, right? You got the queen. I mean, she's over there on the king side. You know, I don't get it. I don't know. F5, I don't know. I mean, he's trying. What's he trying? I can't even figure it out. Anyway, here you go. After this, look at this one. Now you got the rook lift, right? The rook coming up. All right, Morphy pulls his bishop back. Okay, so you can't. Okay, you can't go in for. You got two on this, right? You got this guy and this guy. I'm just looking at it now. Obviously, if you go in for the pawn, you lose the exchange. What's going on there, right? Why would you do that? And you can't take this way because with Morphy pulling his bishop back, it's rook takes rook is threatened, right? So while white wins that pawn, you know, black wins a rook. I don't think that's an even trade. So Lowenthal does the obvious, right? What do you think? What would you do, right? Double them rooks. Now the e-file is controlled by Lowenthal. But he can't, he's not really threatening to take because we got 2 on it, right? So anyway, here we go. What does Morphy do here? He pulled the bishop back, doubled. All right, here we go again. Now this move with the queen attacking b2, right? Now black is in difficulties. And here, whether intentionally or not, he gives up a pawn. He may have hope for a compensating attack, but he scarcely gets that. All right, so what are they talking about? Look at this. Whoops, slip, folks. Disregard that. Here we go. They trade on here. All right, Morphy doesn't lose anything because he's got the bishop to take back. But now the queen comes down, threatening that bishop, right? All right, so here we go. We got the bishop to f7. Okay, so now look at this. Look at what they give here. If the queen was to swing over to the king side to protect this guy, the bishop, you get queen takes. Queen takes the pawn. Look at this now. Look at this. The bishop comes to c6, and they're aiming down on g2, threatening queen takes g2 mate. Uh-oh, and look, you're threatening the queen. But get a load of this. Remember this one, folks. This is a good thing to remember. If you got the check, you see, he's got the check. All right, king up. And now he comes back to the defense. You see that? With a pawn ahead in a good game. He won that b7 pawn, and then he was able to give the check and swing back to defend g2. See that? So you got to always watch it looks like you got a winning move here with bishop to c6, but you got to watch those checks for the defense, see? And then he regroups. All right. All right, we're picking him up. We're picking up the tactics, right? Basically, it's saying with this, you know, he gets a free pawn, and he gets back to defend, and he's got a good game. Now, it also says here, if queen over here, you leave the c5 pawn hanging, and you could simply just take that one. All right, so there you go. I mean, it's strange. What if he? I'm just looking at it, folks. All right, the knight's hanging on d4, right? What if you just come here? You threaten that mate, right? You threaten the mate. You're seeing a block with this, right? Oh, folks, he's threatening, just to show you, he's threatening this. Look at that. All right, he's threatening to fork the king and queen. Oh, get out of here, you. All right, so wait, why would he? All right, he pulls the queen up here. This is off the cuff, folks. I'm just looking at it. He pulls the queen up there to protect his own knight instead of trading, you know? What if he just traded like this? I guess he takes with check. Obvious moves, right? You go there, okay. You could take because this isn't mate, folks. You got the bishop retreating back. Oh, again, the alarms go off. Yes, black is now lost. I got to wake up. I totally missed it. See that? That's a check move. And then you win the other guy. All right. So anyway, hold on. Stupid car over there. Not at all, I tell you, folks. It's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. Oh, there you go. All right, it stops now. Fine. All right. All right, here we go. So now what was the move? Oh, yeah, g4, right? g4, the queen comes up, but I think he's in trouble, folks. Look, now you got this guy protecting g2, hitting the queen, your bishop, your knight on d4 still hanging. All right, you got the check. Look at that. You got a check. I tell you, this is a crazy game. You got the check. The king comes over. Now your queen is still threatened. I mean, obviously the pawn was pinned. You saw that, right, folks? Trying to get back into it after that rude distraction, right? All right. Queen at g5, huh? Queen at g5. I guess this, look, if you try to take this guy, you just lost the game, right? You still got the mate. You got the mate, baby. All right. So anyway, You can't take the knight, so you save him. The queen wins this guy, though, huh? The queen wins him. All right. You go in for it. They trade. You see the bishop takes. Knight d4. It's looking a little shaky for black now. He's down 2 pawns, right? He's down 2 pawns. So anyway, all right. That's a little long-winded there, but hey, you know, I fell into it. I got sucked in. You know, it was interesting. All right. So anyway, yes, they just left it at that. He could take the c5 pawn also. All right. So anyway, there you go. So what is after this move? Morphy's got the bishop to f7. Okay, the king's protecting it. All right, so now let's get back into it. So now the knight, look at this guy. He swings back over, right? Can you believe this guy? These two are dancing over here. Look at this. The queen comes up again. The queen comes up again. Now look at this. I think I saw, this is what Shredder recommended. Hey, here you go. You got the genius saying the same thing. Look at this. Queen over here threatening, you know, like, okay. Let's say you want to grab. You don't want to trade queens, right? Let's say you do something stupid like this. Now, look, watch this one, folks. Check. All right, you got the bishop, but look, you got this guy backing that king off the defense, right? Because the bishop's pinned, right? He can't move the queen, right? The queen, it's illegal. So the only move on this knight check is to move back. Queen takes bishop mate, huh? Remember that one. This little idea is going to come up in some of the other sidelines. But basically, that's why it forces queen takes queen. Okay? And then you take back with the knight, protecting c5. This guy, all right, you lose him, but now you play this, you see, and the knight's over off to the side. He's out of play. You know, he's got to move it back, of course. He gets it back to come get in the game, right? And then it gives you time to post him up real nice on d4. Look at that, right? So there you go. This looks more like an even game here. It's under a pawn. I mean, he's got 1 pawn advantage. He's up a pawn white, but still, it's hard to prove. Very hard to prove. Looks like a draw to me, if you ask me. All right. So anyway, that was recommended by Shredder and the Chess Genius program here. All right. Anyway, Morphy goes about it a little different. He takes aim of e1, okay, by playing the queen here. So again, if you get something dumb like this, it transposes. The block, the knight check, there you go, back off, take the bishop checkmate. There you go, right? So, all right, but what happens now is Lowenthal takes with the knight, see? You got the queen still on that square. See that? All right. So there you go. So the knight takes. He wins that c-pawn now. All right. He's got the c-pawn. Move 28, right? 28. Okay. So after this knight takes pawn, look at this. Morphy swinging the queen down to d2. Now he's threatening checks. Well, he can't go here. The queen's still on it, right? The white queen on e7. But he's got these two available, so he's got some threats going. All right. So what do we have? What do we have? All right, Lowenthal, right, brings the queen back. Wait, does he? Wait, what does he do? Oh, no, he doesn't. I'm sorry. That's later. That's coming up next. All right. So what we got is here, we got this move. Unbelievable, right? You got move 29, just to be correct. Yes, okay. Now here we got a long-winded explanation. Things that could have happened. All right, watch this. Okay? We got H3, right? They say this. What does H3 lead to, huh? It says it leads to a draw by perpetual check. And the only way I see this is on this move, okay, the check. Now, if he comes up, this is where I see what they're talking about, perpetual check, right? If he just keeps going, you keep going back and forth like this, and it's, I mean, if he was to make the mistake of doing this one, forget about it, game over, check. He goes in, look at this. Bishop check. The king's got no breathing room. Bishop check. You go to block, and we trade on d5. And I'm going to be up. Look at this. He takes there, right? He takes. We can check. Let's see. We're seeing the check. Just want to make sure here. Queen F1 check. He's got to come up to F2. Now that you check on E2. He goes back. Now, why doesn't he go here? Just to make sure. I know what's going to happen if he goes there. You're taking, you're swapping them down, see? Like I said, you swap on E4, and then you got an extra knight, and you win easy. But what if he was to go, I'm just looking at, what if he was to go on this check? What if he goes there? Right? Oh, knight F3. Look at this. Oh, forget it. You win the queen outright. Look at this. Because if he goes here, folks, it's only square. It's game over, mate, right? All right, so you don't want to just lose the game, so you got to take that knight out. But look, you win the queen. You win. Now it's queen against bishop. Come on. I mean, either way, you're either up a knight or you got queen versus bishop. There you go. All right, so pretty devastating. Now, this is if white just totally, I don't know, if he just totally blundered into this, right? Because on these checks, I mean, you're just going back and forth, right? You're going here. This is the perpetual they're talking about. But I don't get this. I don't get this. Why not pull? Let's just go all the way back so I get the number of moves right. Okay. Comes down. He plays. If he played H3, if Lowenthal played H3, you got this check. Now, why don't you bring the bishop back, right? You bring the bishop back. Why not? There you go, right? I mean, they're saying this, and who knows where it goes from here, right? The knight, they're giving knight takes here. We can let the engine go a little longer, maybe. But anyway, you know, it looks draw. This guy's taking this one. I mean, really, it's under a pawn. The evaluation, I don't know. It's another game, a little different, okay? But that's the H3 move, right? Let's take that one back, okay? All they say in the notes, they're just giving H3 led to a draw by perpetual check, okay? This guy, this one right here, G3, is lost, okay? How's it lost? Well, you don't check on the dark squares now. Watch this, folks. You check on the light squares, because now he's got light square weakness. Light square weakness, H3, G2. There you go, the alarm again, folks. The alarm again, it's going off. Hear it? Light square weakness. Light square weakness. The alarms are going off. All right. F3, G2, H3. Here we go, right? Now, if he tries to do something dumb like this, try to block it to bishop now, oh, forget about it. There you go. The check, right? He can't go this way or it's mate, right? Queen takes mate. He's got to come up, right? He's got to come up. All right, he's attacking the knight. Look at this move, though, now, folks. Bishop to D5 with a discovery of the knight. Forget about it. I mean, forget it. So at this point, look at this. He checks King H7, right? Look, this is his only move, folks. You know you're lost when you got to resort to that, right? There you go. The engine. I'm just following the engine over here, folks. I'm just following what the engine's saying. You get it? I mean, I'm not just making this up. I'm giving you the strongest moves. You know, I mean, basically at this point, he's busted, all right? White's busted. If he plays bishop back, then forget about it. The knight comes in, king up, only move bishop. There you go. It's over. Game over. Right? So anyway, all right. Like, I mean, if he's threatening, I mean, whatever what if he tries to get out of it, right? I mean, hey, you just hung a piece, right? Is the knight check even better? Oh, it's mate. Okay, it's mate. He doesn't have any of these squares. Look at this. He can't go anywhere, folks. The knight covers the dark squares, and the queen gives the check. The pawn covers this one. The knight covers these two, right? And the queen gives the fatal blow. So he can't even do it. He can't even do that. He's got no options other than queen here, right? And then sacking it for the bishop. Forget about it. Okay, so now let's go back. If on this check, okay, on the check you got to come up, right? But now you get the bishop checking, right? You get the bishop check. Now what do? If you go up like this, game over, checkmate, right? Let me make sure that. Wait a minute, the queen could block. Oh, okay, right there. You don't check here. You get the block, right? You get him right back in it. You made him on this square instead. There you go. All right. Gotta look at every square. All right. So on this, you check. All right. He puts, again, this similar to before. Look at this. They traded on E4 again. Look at this, huh? There you go. Look, you check here. King goes where he wants, huh? You go where you want. Where does he want to go here? King H3, right? You take here. What are we talking about, folks? Game over. All right, look. The engine, Chess Genius, that's the best. There you go. You're up a knight. And that's White's best chance right there. He's up a knight. Forget about it. Pick off some of those pawns. He's on easy street. All right, so there you go. I mean, this loses. This move, G3 loses. Can't even get it out. All right, so what do you got left? What do you got left? Well, all right, so here we go. We go to the notes again, and you got Bishop to F1. All right, Bishop to F1 as suggested by Staunton gives White a better game than the text move. If then Queen to D1, okay, because they also give the side note right here. Knight goes here. The Queen can easily just take B7. It says here, knight to C6, attacking the Queen, is here effectively met by Queen takes B7, which is impossible in the actual game. All right, we'll get to, you'll see why in a minute, because you'll see, I'll basically Black wins a piece. I'll show you what happens, but we'll get to that in a minute. So what they're saying is for Black, the best move is not to come back with the knight, not to C6, but rather pin that bishop, right? And now you're threatening, now you want to threaten the knight check on E2, but right now White has the Queen guarding that. See that? All right, so what happens? So at this point, all White does is play the simple B3 to keep this guy out. See that? Piling up on the pinned piece. See, that B3, small little move, but it's also crucial. And there they go. They claim White is better now after this. I mean, he's up a pawn, and basically he's got the better position. All right, so let's see here. They give Max Lang's variations are, if knight takes pawn, they also say, they give queen to G4, or queen to A1, and last but not least, they give B6. All moves, according to Max Lang, are better for White. All right, so let's look at each of them. Knight takes pawn first, right? The material. You're going for material. Let's bring in the engine. Okay, it's already on, right? Here comes the knight, threatening something like this. Silly move over here, useless. Look, check, and you got mate, right? There you go. 2-move mate threat right now. So, no A6. Forget about that move. All right, so if Black takes, White takes with check, king over, right? He could grab this pawn with check. I don't know, king down. All right. They're saying to give the check on C8. I guess you're going to come back to C4. What are you going to do here? You go back. Queen. Oh, queen takes B7. Grabbing more material. You could afford to do it. All right, and here you go. Look, the knight takes over there. I don't know. Folks, it look like a draw to me, you know. Yes, White's up a pawn, but interesting enough, why doesn't he just take here? Let's see what happens. Grabs material. Queen takes B3. It's still all the same. It's White's up a pawn, but it's not enough, folks. I don't think it's enough to win. It's basically a draw at this point. So anyway, here you go. This is one line, right? After B3, okay, we looked at this, right? Knight takes. All right, the next move, right? What was it? Knight over here, right? Threatening, I don't know, threatening the check of the knight on, F3 maybe. All right, so what do we have here? Queen can take. I don't even understand it, folks, to tell you the truth. I think it's a typo because they got the descriptive notation. I'm going to tell you now. That doesn't really make sense. Queen to G4. It says queen to knight 4, which I don't get it. This is knight 5, according to descriptive notation. Right? That's knight 5. I don't get it. I mean, it's not. This would. It's a long explanation if you don't follow me. I think it's just basically leave it at this. I think it's a typo. I don't get it. I don't get this move. He takes here, look, and the engine's saying go back. Right? Like if we tried this idea, like I was saying, oh, you can't even do it because the queen's over there now, right? So there you go. It doesn't make sense. White could take B7 and all checks are blocked. This check over here now they're saying king over. All right, king over. D4, you're attacking the knight on C5. If he takes this one, you could take, actually, if he takes that one, look, folks, you could check down there with mate, huh? Sneaky game here, sneaky position. Lots going on. All right, so he can't take the knight. You got queen B5, they're saying, queen B5. Knight C3, I don't know. They're just dancing now, folks. They're just dancing. Does it really matter what's going on here? This looks like a draw to me. Even though white's up 2 pawns, you know? I don't know. All right, so let's go back. They're just dancing. This is beyond my pay grade right here. Who knows? All right, so, I mean, Max Lang just gave these one move, you know, ideas. Here's the other one. Here's another one over here. Right, attacking the A3 pawn, I guess. Is that the idea, right? I mean, now if he takes here, again, folks, we still got this mate threat. Don't you forget it. He's pinned. This guy's still pinned with the queen on A1. He's got to move. You chop off the bishop with mate. Okay? So that's still in the wind. You know, it's still lurking. So you can't grab the B7 pawn, right? All right, so what do you do against this? Look, here you go. White doesn't care. He goes in with this one. All right. They're giving black this. You take that one. He takes this one. He swings here, threatening the bishop. Right? All right. Bishop takes another pawn over here. All right. You take this one. Fine. Bishop back. Who knows, folks? It's a game. Again, that's why Max Lang probably only gave one move. He basically, you know, you can figure it out yourself. There's nothing in any of these variations. It looks drawish to me. If anything, white has the extra pawn. If you want to make the argument, you know, white's better. You know, that's what it says in the. Here you go, the last one, right? It's what it says in the note. Black, all these are in white's favor. Okay, so what's the last one say? Okay. The pawn. Oh wait, let's see. This was here. Pawn up. Okay, here's the last one. Max Lang gives. What do you do on this? All right. Knight over here this time. Is that the best move? Let's see if it goes to E6 if we give it more time. Oh, no, you can't. You can't go here because the knight takes. All right. So you swing here. All right. So now, actually, folks, if he goes here, not only you win a piece, right? You take like this. Now you're blocking the queen out. We'll get to that in a minute. That idea. Let's go. Let's stick with this variation. B6 variation. All right, here comes the knight. They give bishop to D. Let's see. King over. Look at that. Again, if you take the bishop, that looks like it's just hanging. You win the game. Black wins the game. He's baiting them in. See? He's baiting them. Take my bishop. Go ahead. See what happens. All right. So now you got what? You got C3. All right. Oh, look at this. See? Now you're hitting the knight. So if the knight runs, then you do. If the knight who knows where the knight can go if it runs, right? If it just runs, now you can take this guy because there's no mate threat anymore, right? So black's pretty much forced to go in with it. All right, he takes, right? You take over here, you get this guy, he gets that guy, and it's bishop and queen. He plays this to protect the pawn on b3. All right, there you go. Who knows? I say draw again. Draw again. All right. So all these, nothing really here. So look at this try now. Watch this. So is what at first sight appears a good try. Bishop to... Wait, let me make sure that's the right move, right? Because after the bishop goes back, let's move 29. So now we have, with the queen going here, pinning, right? Pinning that bishop, okay? B3, keeping this guy out once again, repeating ourselves, but it bears repeating. All right, after b3, here's a good try, they said, by black. It looks at first sight, it looks like a good try, right? Bishop to e6, blocking out the queen's defense of that mate with knight e2, check, king to h1. Queen takes bishop, checkmate. We looked at it, right? We've seen that tactic. All right, but here we go. It looks good at first, but then we have this move. F3, pretty crazy, right? Because if you try now, he gets this escape square. Simple enough. Can you believe it? Something like that, huh? Something like that holds. So this was here. This goes up. Now with the knight, with that guy going there, yes, the queen can't take because the knight, you know, you'd win the queen for 2 minor pieces, right? And obviously, when you're looking at it, if the knight takes, again, folks, the mate comes in, see? The white knight blocks the queen's defense at e2. So you got to dummy up. You can't go in for things like this, you see? All right, just stating the obvious, okay? So, like we said, this is the move, right? Okay, now, black's try is to move the queen over so he doesn't have f2 escape square, right? All right, queen over to e1, and now we got the check. Look at this. Queen check wins the knight. Okay? There you go. Queen, knight, check. Queen, what am I saying? Queen check, king up, queen wins the knight, see? And what do you got left? Nothing. And now your bishop's still hanging too. No mate threats, nothing. So, there you are, right? There you are. Now, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm looking at the next note here. Yeah, here we go. With this move, after f3, they say that if they try this now, knight to e2 check. Well, like I said, the king just comes up here, and then it leaves black without hope. It's the own words of the old masters in the notes. Leaves black without hope. All right? Because this guy's hanging, and this guy's hanging, if you haven't noticed. 2 on that one, and 2 on this one. It's all over, right? There's no way to save it. Look at the engine over here, folks. Look at the engine. You got the minus 4.14, right? They're saying this. This is the best move, huh? All right, knight takes. Queen takes c2, check. The king doesn't mind going back in. Knight takes here. Queen takes with check. King f8 for whatever reason. All right, b4 doesn't. I don't know. It's over. It's all over for black. White's up a whole bishop after the dust settles, right? There you go. So, here are the long-winded, you know, this is all the long-winded all to this move that's coming up now. Move 29, all the woulda, coulda, shouldas, right? But here's what Lowenthal decides to play here. He plays F3. He plays F3. All right, here we go. Let's continue. Now the knight could swing back. Remember this line? And we said, I said, white can't take over here now. It loses a piece. How does it lose a piece? Well, let's check it out. You check here first to divert the bishop. All right, you divert that bishop over here. And now you give the check on E3. King goes in the corner, forced, right? And there you go. You win the knight on C5. And now, even after this, doesn't matter. King over here, right? F5's protected, doesn't matter. The queen on C5 protects the pawn on F5. I mean, white's busted. He's got nothing. All right, so he's got, black's got the knight for 2 pawns, but I think black's going to pick off the C pawn, maybe another pawn or so. I mean, forget about it. He might even get an attack going with the extra piece. All right, so it's all over for white. Now, interesting enough, if you go here, look at this. All right, the king, let's say the king goes there. Let's do what the engine says. You win the piece, right? But now look at this. You check, king up, right? And now you get something like this. Check, you get win another pawn. Now, you know, you got the knight, but, knight is equal to 3 pawns, And you see white's pieces are more active than in the other variation, right? You see that extra pawn means a lot. All right, you block him out like this. Yeah, okay, big deal. He takes here. You come up with the check. King here, right? Queen E4. Does it look like he's got some kind of perpetual going here? Can't be, right? Can't be. They're saying right here, G6, right? There's no check. No check thanks to the knight. But yet it's still saying it's equal. Look at the evaluation, 0.00. And you got to remember, in the end games, what's interesting is, even though white has 3 pawns for the piece, and most amateurs would take the piece, you try to pick off some of those pawns. But you got to watch, in an end game, those pawns can become potential queens, Sometimes, especially with a knight like this, and you got pawns on both sides of the board, if white could create 2 passed pawns on both sides of the board, could be very dangerous, Sometimes it's white, in this scenario, the one with the pawns, white could end up winning. He has the better winning chances because he could get a potential queen. So, again, this variation looks drawn. See how more important, look how big this check is right here. Let's see, where is it? Knight comes back. If the queen takes on B7, you give the check here, right? He's forced to block. There's no other move on the board. And now with the bishop there, you check, you throw him in the corner, king's way in the corner, you take your piece, all right? And even with this, king up, you can't take over here. The bishop is on F1 opposed to D3. See that? Big difference. All right, so the white's move would be this. That's what the engine's saying. All right, you back up that F pawn. There you go. All right? It's a whole world of difference. Amazing how one little maneuver like queen check and then you maneuver to take the knight. Big difference, right? All right, anyway, here we go. All right, so they're saying the queen can't take, okay? Morphy's able to swing the knight back. He can't take there or else he loses, right? To what we just looked at. All right, so now he comes to E2. I got a little confused. For some reason, I jumped the gun earlier. All right, knight to E2. Come on, trade queens. Lowenthal doesn't mind, but of course, Morphy, he's trying to hang on with the power on the board. He wants to win. So here he goes. He gives the check, right? He gives the check. Okay, Lowenthal comes up. Morphy grabs the pawn. Okay. Lowenthal grabs the F pawn. Morphy grabs the A pawn. All right, the queen swinging up over here, okay? And now Morphy with queen to c3. All right. Let's look at this, right? Let's see. What happens if he takes over here? He takes that b pawn now, huh? Well, he loses the piece, right? Does he lose the piece like this? Oh, okay, okay. Here we go. We got the notes. I remember this. Wait a minute now. We got the knight. Let's see. Bishop to c3. Okay, watch this. Let's look at it this way, okay? Instead of queen to c3, I'm sorry, did I say that knight to c3? Queen to c3 is the move Morphy plays, right? All right, but let's rewind. Here are the notes of the old masters. Look at this. Knight to d4, queen takes pawn, right? All right, queen takes pawn. Well, if you take the knight, look at this. Hey, you hung your knight. Yeah, well, look at this one, folks. Queen check, right? Look at this. Queen check. He doesn't have the escape square. He can't go to h7 because of this guy, right? The bishop on f5. Now, if he's going to block like that, that's no good. He's just throwing away the bishop, okay? So he tries to bring the queen in here. Do you see the move, though, now? Common tactic. Look at this. Bishop check, diverting the king over, and then you win the queen. You see that? Forget about it. White's winning this one now. The bishop and knight are no match for the queen. All right, so common tactic. You got to see that one again. You see, look, you give the check. Queen comes down to block, and you divert the king's defense of the queen on f8. Look, and you win the queen. That's a common one. You see that often. All right, so this is what we're doing, folks. We're building up these tactics. All right. So anyway, after the bishop, after the queen takes the b pawn, okay, the knight. Let's say the knight takes over here. You take that bishop on f5. Okay. So anyway, you give the check over here again. All right. Now you get the king going up. And you regain the piece. See, with check. All right, with check. Now, the funny thing is, that's where they leave it. It just says, regaining the piece with a pawn ahead, right? If you look at it, it's 4 pawns to 3, right? But look, they got to go one move deeper. Look, now where's the queen go? Look at the engine, all right? Let's just pick this for the engine, and then you win your pawn back over here. So what are we talking about, right? I don't know, folks. Looks drawish to me. You save your knight, centralize the knight. I don't know. Draw. You say a draw on this one, right? It says equal. Look at the engine. Perfectly equal. So who knows, right? I mean, black's got an outside pass pawn, but I don't think it means much. All right. So anyway, there you go. That's some of the notes, but that's all off of this move right here. If the knight swings, attacking the queen on b5, and if the queen takes there, these other moves, you know, queen takes totally loses. You end up losing the queen, and this also they claim loses a pawn to this, right? King up there, you take, just replaying it. There you go. You move, you get your pawn back. So it really doesn't win doesn't win a pawn. Looks drawish to me. All right, here we go. So Morphy with the better move, queen to c3. All right. Now they're going to do some maneuvering, some dancing around, right? What if he took here, huh? Look at the engine now. Knight takes. Knight takes. All right, here we go with the check, right? The king, let's see. If the king goes there, knight to d4, forking those two pieces, the queen and the bishop, right? All right, there's no checks for the white queen. Oh, yeah, watch this, folks. This is some nice maneuvering on black's part. Watch this. All right, he comes back. The queen's got to move, right? Now, get a load of this. Look. He comes here. Now, does the queen trade queens? No, because then he just takes back like this. Okay? You don't want to do that. You got your opponent on the ropes. Look at this. You avoid the queen exchange by giving check. Only move on the board right here. Okay, the only square to escape to. Okay, now you take now you take the bishop, right? All right, he's got to take back. And look at this, folks. You give the check right here, right? Okay, now, if he goes here, checkmate, right? That's the easy one. If he goes here, look at this, folks. Bishop down, right? And now he's forced. If he goes here, it's checkmate, right? So his only legal move is to block, and folks, it's all over, right? It's all over. Forget about it. There you go. All right, there you go. So, game over. You win the queen for bishop. All right, so anyway, here you go. The check comes in. The only other square is right here. Now watch this, folks. Watch this. Queen check, right? He can't block it. He can't take out my queen there on E1. So he's got to move. He's only got two choices, here or here. And it doesn't matter where he goes, because what comes next? Did you see it, folks? Bishop to E6, pinning the queen, pinning and winning the queen to the king. Unbelievable, huh? Look at this. If he goes over here, no different. He's on that diagonal. Same thing. He takes here, folks. Did you see the queen backing up the bishop on E6? See that? Tactics, folks. That's what it's all about. That's what this game's about. You got to put them together, folks. You got to put them together. This is what we're learning here. I'm schooling you, right? I'm taking you to school. All right. So anyway, there you go. So you can't go in. You can't go in for this pawn, right? Even the engine made that mistake. Look at it. It thinks it's a draw right now. Look at that. Bishop takes pawn, huh? All right. Let's see if the engine comes up with a better move, huh? Queen. Now, if he goes here, look, you can't do it yet, folks, because this guy's here. See that? But the fork, the queen, the knight forking the queen and bishop makes it all happen. Look at this. Now the engine knows he's losing. Look at this. No answer. No answer. Check. We're just doing an instant replay. You take the bishop. He's forced over here. Setting up. Setting up what, folks? The pin. Look at that. Beautiful, huh? That bears repeating. Checking that one out again. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. All right. So anyway, the knight can't take the pawn. Get out of here, you. All right. So what does Lowenthal do? Lowenthal knows better. What he does is he brings the knight back, right? He stops the check also. He stops that annoying check of the queen getting in there. Real nuisance. All right, so the queen comes back over here. All right. See, make sure I got that right. Queen C3, knight to B3, and now queen to F6. All right, here we go. He goes in for the pawn. Get a load of this. He takes the pawn. All right. Now, I guess he figures, right, if I take here, he takes here. He gets the knight. And it goes on. The battle rages on from there. Right? All right. So anyway, here's Morphy's move. He plays G6, hitting the bishop, also giving him another escape square on G7 if he needs it. All right. So the bishop, let's see. He doesn't even pull. Oh, excuse me there. He doesn't pull back. He gives the check over here. And sure enough, all right, the king opts to go to H7. All right, now the bishop comes back to D3. And here you go. Watch this move now. Look at this threat. Knight up to E5. Do you see the threat here? All right, let's make a useless move. And there you go. You take out one. The pawn is overloaded. See this pawn? It defends both minor pieces. You take one, and then you win the other one. Look at that. See that one? Did you see that coming? Now get a load of this. You think you might win it back with this queen check, right? King moves or whatever, and then you win over here. But, folks, you got to remember those sneaky bishops. Look at this sneaky one. Look, he could come back and block on F7. See that? Did you see that? All right, he gets the pawn, I guess, right? Gets the pawn. Now, if you're black, you got to try to trade queens at all costs. And then with your two pawns, hopefully You could try to queen one of them. It'll be tough. I don't know. It might be tough. Maybe a draw here. Who knows? Could be tough. So anyway, all right. So even though you're winning a piece, you're down a pawn right now as you speak. You win a piece, and then white gets another pawn, which would bring us to this variation right here. Bishop back, you get the other pawn. All right, now, you know, you got the bishop for 2 pawns. You got to try to trade the queen, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you go for the attack with the extra piece. But who knows where this goes? We'll leave this one to Karpov, right? And Kasparov. All right, so there's the threat. Let's get back to the game. What did Lowenthal do? He doesn't lose a piece. I mean, come on now. Let's see, what move was that? Move 37, right? Okay. Here comes the knight. He moves the knight. He opts to move the knight over. Okay. Now we get the queen check over here. Look at this. Queen check. All right. Lowenthal moves back here. He doesn't want to look, folks. He doesn't want to move like this, does he? What is this? Is this trouble here coming in with the queen? All right. He'd lose the knight if he doesn't block with it, so he pulls it back. I don't know. What do we take? We take this guy. He goes there, right? All right. Who knows? Maybe this pawn over here might be trouble. You got the knight pinned. Maybe the bishop and queen could escort that a pawn, help try to get it down. I don't know. It looks shaky. Can it be done? Let's see. Look at this move. All right. King. All right. King G8 to be able to move that bishop. He comes here. I don't know. Be tough. Look at the evaluation. It's under 1, you know, so maybe that pawn isn't that much trouble. I don't know. White's preventing this advance. See? The queen on d4 is preventing the advance. So what do? We try to advance it somehow, right? All right, what if we take what if we go, or we can't, if we go over here, we're leaving the shelter of the king, right? The king could be exposed. So, all right, what if we just do this, huh? We move the queen over to advance. Oh, look at that. He gets the check. Pretty slick, huh? And he gets the pawn over there. Was that the idea? Yeah. You pick off the pawn. There you go. All right, he gets this one. That a pawn was big. That a pawn might have been some pressure, you know. Now it's definitely looking like a draw. So anyway, all right, let's go. Let's go back. So maybe that's not so much a threat. But hey, Lowenthal opts did not even give him the option. There he goes. He goes back to F1, keeps the queen out. All right, so let's see. Queen takes pawn. All right, now he gets the H pawn. All right, he's picking them off. All right, each pawn counts in the end game. All right, here we go. Knight. Positioning on E4. Good square for the knight now. All right, here comes a check. King up, right? And you got queen. Oh, no, of course not that. Sorry. Mouse slip right there. Let's see. Queen right here. Okay. Queen to C1. Oh, he's threatening the bishop, folks. He's for instance, you go just throwing a stupid move. Look, he's threatening taking the bishop, winning the queen. See that? And there's no checks. There's no in-between moves for White's queen to get the out of danger there. So basically, it's a check move. Knight taking the bishop's a check move anyway. So there you go. He'd lose the queen if he takes back. All right, there you go. Right. Every move, you gotta watch these guys. They're real sneaky. All right. So that's with the queen move over here. Queen to C1. He's trying. Morphy's trying to set him up. All right, here we go. We got the queen. Let's see, queen coming back to C3. All right, now it doesn't matter. You could take this way. You could take this way too, because the knight's protecting him, right? I don't know if you'd want to go into an endgame knight against bishop with an outside a pawn like that. The knight's got to cover 2 sides of the board. Could be a little awkward. Maybe this would be better. What does the engine say there? Let's see it. Yeah, queen takes D3. Makes sense. Keep the queens on. You don't want a knight versus bishop endgame like this. Even though that might be drawish too. There goes that A pawn. Look at it. There goes that A pawn. Let's see, D4. Yeah, you go over here trying to push that pawn up. Yeah, it's still a draw. The king's closer. The white king, he's going to get up over there anyway. Looks like he's going to be able to stop it. A4. Look at this. You hold it. Now you hold the dark square A3 under control. You can't advance anymore, right? You try to attack him, right? What does he do? He goes over here, attacks you. You got nothing now. The knight's cemented in there. All right. So he could play it either way. He could play it either way. Okay, so at this point, though, queen to C3. Morphy doesn't take the bishop. Let's see, where are we? Move 42 already, huh? All right. He brings the queen out over here. All right. Queen to F4. All right, the king moves over now. Let's see. The king moves over. Queen to F4. I got that right? Yeah. Threatening this. Let's see, just to make a silly move. I don't know if this matters. But look, you're threatening this. Does that do anything? Does that do anything? He goes there. All right, with the queen on B2, I guess it does matter because you don't get the check, right? So, you go here. He goes over. All right, all the maneuvering. Who knows, right? It's another game. Let's go back. Okay. So with the queen going to F4, here comes the king over to E2. Lowenthal, king to E2. Look at this. You're launching the pawn up now. Okay. Knight to D2. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Knight to F2. Knight to F2. Pawn up again. Queen. Trying to trade them queens, huh? I don't think so. Attacking that pawn. Attacking that G2 pawn. All right. He comes up attacking the knight. So if this guy goes here taking this, he takes this one, right? All right. So see, you don't have to defend necessarily. You just attack. And then, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. All right. So anyway, the queen came up. Here comes Morphy. Launching this pawn. See that? With the queen also over here, he's attacking this one. So, all right, Morphy launches it up. All right, now the queen comes up. The queen comes to E4, huh? The queen comes to E4. We've got the queen and the knight on E5. They protect G6. White's got the battery there, but it doesn't matter. All right, Morphy with the bishop up to E6. All right, look at this. Now he's pushing the pawn up. Oh, he's taking away the defense of the queen, the black queen on G3. So the knight's hanging now, and it's under attack. All right, here we go. Knight takes bishop. It's forced, right? Now, if he takes here, folks, right? If he takes here. Now we get, look at this. Look, you're thinking about this knight over here, aren't you? But look at that one. Did you see that? Look how quick you can lose the game, huh? You just lost the queen to a knight fork. All right. I'm telling you that the landmines are all about, even in the end game, folks. All right, so he takes the knight, and Lowenthal takes back with the pawn. Okay, here we go. We got the check now, though, baby. Where are you going now? All right, king to F1, and look at this. Now you go here, you attack the queen, right? And lo and behold, here comes Lowenthal with the check, right? The check, and here it is, folks. It concludes, and draws by perpetual check. All right, because if he goes up, you check him here. He's got to go back down, and you just check him all day long, all night long. no matter where he goes, right? If he goes down, you check him here. If he goes up, you check him. You check him. No, they won't even let me do it, folks. Here, look. The queen comes down with check, no matter where he goes, okay? He goes down, you check him from F7. If he goes here, you check him from F8. If he goes up, again, F7. If he goes here, you check him from F8. And if he is dumb enough to go up, then you lose. The black lost the game. You checkmate him. Look at that checkmate, huh? Thanks to the pawn on F4 and the knight on F2, taking away these escape squares. G5 and G4, there's nowhere to go for the black king. Can you believe it? I'll tell you, you got to be careful. It's better to take the draw than to take the loss, right? So there you go. That's the perpetual. You just keep checking to the end of time. And there you go. You got the first match, the first game against J.J. Lowenthal. Morphy and Lowenthal have a draw. All right, folks? The time of the game was 8 hours. How about that one, huh? 8 hours. What a battle. What a battle. All right, so we're going to have to stay tuned for the second match game between Paul Morphy and Jay Lowenthal. All right. Hope to see you next